The July 7th, 2025 meeting of the North Olmsted Building and Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order at 7 o'clock. I ask everyone to stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Wilson, would you take the roll, please?
Mr. Kovac?
Here.
Mr. Papato?
Here.
Mr. Mackey?
Here.
Ms. Galetno?
Here.
Mr. Ammons?
Here.
The meeting minutes of June 2nd, 2025 are submitted for approval. Does anyone have any corrections? All in favor of approving the minutes of June 2nd, 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, the June 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes have been approved. For all business before the board, each board member has viewed the premises involved in the case. Each case will be judged on the physical situation peculiar to itself, so that in no way is a judgment rendered considered to be a general policy affecting all properties and situations elsewhere. 3 votes are required for approval. Meeting procedure. Cases will be called in order of the agenda. When your case is called, please come to the podium and give your name, including spelling and address. Also, if anyone present is interested in the case being presented and wants to be heard on that particular case, please come forward at the same time and give your name, including spelling of name and address as well. First case on the agenda is 270-2025 Loretta Ozing Eisen at 5763 Bradley Road. And are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Could you step to the podium and state your name and address?
Loretta Ozanich Eisen, 5763 Bradley Road, North Olmsted, Ohio 44070.
You, sir, as well?
Alan Clough with Admiral Builders, 3152 East River, Sheffield Village, Ohio.
Could I ask both of you to raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Director Upton, can we have a building department report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a variance for an accessory structure deck in the front yard. Code requires accessory structures to be located in rear yard. Applicant shows an accessory structure in the front yard. Codified Ordinance Section 113502C1. To note, the deck's proposed dimensions are 6 feet 8 inches by 27 feet 7 inches. 113502 accessory uses. Storage buildings and accessory structures shall only be permitted in rear yards of residential lots in any 1 or 2 family district.
You may present your case.
There was a front porch there, and all she's basically doing is making it a little bigger. The front porch is disintegrated. So it's more, I mean, I guess you could call it a deck because it's made out of deck boards, but it's a front porch. She needs it to access the front door.
Anything else? Okay. Director Upton, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Taking a look at the Duncan factors that we weigh relative to an area variance of this sort. This is different from a use variance. We familiar with the 7 criterion, and 5 of which are cause for concern. Number 1, can the property yield a reasonable return, or can there be any beneficial use to the property without a variance? The answer is absolutely there can be. They can just replace the steps that are existing. Is the variance substantial? Yes, it is substantial. A code does not permit these structures of any kind. The variance is not only to allow something that's not permitted, but to allow a 216 square foot deck in the front yard, which is not permitted. Number three, will the essential character of the neighborhood be altered? Yes, there's no decks of this kind in the immediate adjoining areas. And so, yes, it will alter the character of the neighborhood. Number six, can the owner's predicament be precluded through some other method than a variance? Yes, again, they could just replace the steps that are existing. And then number seven, will the spirit of the zoning code be observed by granting the variance? Staff's answer to that is no. On an editorial side, I drive up Porter Road, and I paid particular attention today to front porches, front decks. Every single one on Porter Road is covered and closed in. It's not simply just a deck to sit outside. They're all covered patios. They have roofs. They're three seasons rooms. They're not just a deck board type structure that's being proposed by the applicant. So that's my own editorial comment. But other than that, nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Director Grove, do you have any comments?
No, sir. Thank you. Not at this time.
Do you have anything to add to your case?
Yeah, if I could put that on the front, I call it front porch, put that on there, I would be able to sit out there and put a couple chairs out there and enjoy my yard and look, watch everything out there. I can't go anywhere else and do anything else, really, anymore.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, is it possible that you could put a deck like that on the back of your house? And
No,
just simply replace the steps which are deteriorating?
I don't understand.
Your front steps, you mentioned that the small, if you will, the
Yeah.
porch, is to the point of it's not of any use to you now.
No, I can't go out there now
Okay, so
with the,
the objective to replace that access to the house, and you also want additional seating out front. Have you
right.
considered putting a deck on the rear of the house?
No, with Bradley Woods being back there, it's so horribly bad back there. I mean, unless you live right there in that area, you wouldn't realize it. When you're in the backyard, the mosquitoes just eat. It's like a cartoon where they're coming at you like an arrow.
I see.
And the front, they're not quite as bad out front. And it'd be nice to, rather than sitting in the front room just looking out the door all the time, just to go out there and sit on the front porch for a little bit.
Right. Oh, with that in mind, if that was truly a porch that had as Director Upton has suggested, is there any possibility of putting a roof over that porch that you're planning?
I would like to do that eventually, but right now,
Cost consideration
Yes.
involved?
yes.
I see. Okay, that's the only questions I have.
Anybody else?
I have a question for Director Upton. So, more of a materials question. I remember a few years back we had a case where someone wanted to put a wood deck at the front door, and from the building department it came that it needed to be masonry, not wood, because of, and I know this is out of your purvey, but because it was the primary entrance, and if there was a fire, having a wood deck there made it difficult. And that was the variance. They wanted a variance to put wood instead of masonry, and from the building commissioner, I didn't see that, and I don't know if this one.
Through the chair to Commissioner Popato, that your memory is much better than mine. I can't recall that case. However, that being said, if Katie usually doesn't miss items like that, so if that were required, I'm fairly confident that she would have included that in the variance application itself.
And if the variance is successful, would the plans go through the building department then?
Yes, because they would then issue a
Okay.
building permit, and everything would have to be pursuant to. Remember, this is an area variance, so we're just approving yes or no. We're not approving the materials or anything like that. So all that would be subject to the building department review or further building department review. We're just granting whether or not this is allowed.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for the applicant. What is your hardship here? I realize you stated that you wanted a bigger porch, but what is a hardship here? To have a porch to look at your yard, or
Just sit out there and enjoy.
sit out there?
Just to sit out there and enjoy the yard. Relax.
And what is there now? Is there an existing? There's nothing there now.
My daughter come out the step. And
All right, so there's
collapsed.
nothing. There's no existing porch there now. That's
No, it
okay.
collapsed last year when she was pregnant. So
Oh.
it's gone.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, so you have no way of getting in and out of your front door right now? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
have
so
to
that,
jump.
the steps or whatever was there just
They're gone.
collapsed and
Everything's
it's gone,
gone.
so you have
Collapsed.
nothing there.
I have a feeling masonry would be a lot more costly. I've known her. They skated with my daughter, so I'm doing it.
So what was there was just a landing with a set of
It
steps.
was concrete that, a lot of times the
Yeah.
concrete, the underfill isn't packed tight and they do crack and they end up making a basement leak and disintegrate, so,
There was nothing under there.
yeah, it was all, that happens a lot of times. We find a lot of concrete porches where it settles and then over the years the concrete cracks and falls in. So the wood is a lot easier to replace and a lot easier initially cost-wise.
Would a smaller footprint allow for it to be covered?
Yeah, you could cover,
Right, but would a smaller footprint give the financial freedom to cover it? And
my opinion, it should be a little bigger, just accessing the door if you're carrying groceries or the deck, the porch or concrete you had there, to me, wasn't really sufficient. It's hazardous, especially as you get older. You need a little more room and a little, just to get around.
but it's 27 foot long. Like, can it be smaller, and would that offset covering it?
It could be smaller, but, I mean, you can cover any size, I guess. There's not a.
No, I understand, but she said covering it it's a financial hardship right now, correct? So if we would make the if we would make the deck smaller, would
Oh,
that
you're
cost
talking about the
saving
roof.
cover the?
I doubt that. It wouldn't.
Okay.
Just what the architect charges and everything else, you can't get anything drawn.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I have a question for Director Upton.
Sir.
Director Upton, we've visited this type of issue 2 or 3 years ago on Byron Drive. I recall a specific case that I believe Mr. Papato's been referencing. And at that time, I believe there was some discussion about moving forward to enact a change in the code to accommodate the desires of some homeowners who have very short backyards in depth, or as she has said, the Barton Woods are almost at her back door, and so her problem is one of having mosquitoes during the summer season. So in terms of utilizing her property, she is desirous of placing a deck across the front of the house. not with extreme depth, mind you, but across the front, to more consistently appear unified with the structure, facing the street. So I'm wondering if the city council, or in other committees, if there, has been any discussion about moving toward that type of change in the code.
Not at this time, Commissioner Mackey. No.
Okay. Do you know if the building department is seeing any other similar requests for this type of home improvement?
No, because any one of those requests would have to come through this body, and I don't recall the last time that we've had this type of case come before us.
Right.
The most likely, you all know the most. It's fence setbacks. It's storage shed sizes and things of that nature. It's been quite some time. I'm sure the one that both you and Commissioner Papato are citing is the last one that we've heard.
It's been a while. That's true. Okay, that concludes any questions I have.
I've just got one more cool question. Why not, given the way the code states that these structures are only permitted in the rear, why not just repair the concrete, the steps? Have you looked at that? And it
I
kind of,
don't do concrete, for one.
okay.
But I'm assuming it's gonna be considerably more
It
expensive.
would be more.
Cause you gotta, it's got brick around it, then it's gonna have to be filled in, and then concrete on top of that. And again, that does, I'm, just from my experience, I've been doing this since I was 10.
Yeah. I understand, but
Concrete drain into the
Yeah.
house, they crack, they break, it's very costly to repair.
I understand the variance is for the deck, but the decks aren't. The code says that they can be in the rear, but just given the front, the front steps.
I guess it's just this neighborhood, because just driving here, I've seen a lot of
Okay.
wood front porches also. So I mean, just somehow they don't like that neighborhood, I guess, with wood decks. But
Okay.
the majority of them, I think, are wood nowadays. The vast majority are wood.
Okay.
I
Or
have one other
composite.
question. I have one other question, ma'am. Have you considered utilizing some of the space in front of your house as a landscape feature, where you would simply replace the front steps, with some kind of situation with steps and railings that are aesthetically pleasing, and then do something with landscaping in front of the house, which would enable you to take a couple lawn chairs out there and enjoy your yard? It may result in less cost even.
You mean that with the step replacing it with the composite?
No, I
Or
mean,
the concrete?
I'm not telling you what types of steps to construct to fully utilize the front door of your house. I'm simply asking you, have you considered placing a new set of stairs in front of the house, and perhaps to the side and in front of the house, doing some improvements with landscaping so that you can take a couple of lawn chairs out there and sit and enjoy your yard?
Yeah, I have thought about that. I also thought with all the grandbabies that if the porch was there, with the railings around, and that it'd be safer for them too than dragging all four of them down the steps
Okay.
to the yard. But yeah, I have thought about that.
All right. That's all I have.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I move that we approve the variance as written.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato. Board discussion.
Well, I'd like to say that I think there have been a number of cases where the city code has been quite specific and giving guidance on these issues. But this is a variance, which is a situation where the homeowner is asking for an improvement to remedy a problem. Her hardship is that she cannot effectively and safely use her front door at this point. So she needs to have some sort of a solution.
But you know what? I don't think she needs a 27-foot deck to effectively use her front door.
Right.
She needs the minimum standing 3x4 platform with a set of stairs. That's what the house was built with.
Yeah, I think that issue, Mr. Ammons, goes back to the building department and the permitting process. As to the size of a set of stairs that enables a homeowner to access the front door of their house, that's not being addressed in a code matter tonight. Okay, the size of it, for simple steps and railings for safety purposes. And yes, it is, a deck of that size far exceeds the need to be able to safely access your house. But I think that, what I'm saying is that I think the building department has the discretion to properly handle that within the guidelines it follows to help the homeowner make that decision. So I think there's a lot of split views here tonight on this issue. And I'm only discussing it in this manner to try and seek a resolution that provides the homeowner some measure of relief.
Thank you. Yeah, I understand that this is, going to make things a lot nicer for the homeowner. Actually, in my opinion, it will. But do we want to grant a variance of this size for this area? I'm still on the board. That's why I was looking for advice from the rest of you. What your opinions were.
Well, that's why I brought up the fact that I think the steps should be fixed and perhaps forego the deck, which is being in question.
Right.
But
Yeah, and that's also why I went with the notion that perhaps landscaping could provide a viable answer.
I think that's a very good idea. You don't need it.
We see all kinds of things in front of homes, not just trees or shrubs, but it could possibly include the placement of stones or whatever, things that are aesthetically pleasing to the property and also to the neighborhood. So I think it's something to consider.
anybody else? Ms. Wilson, could you take the roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Papato,
No.
Mr. Kovac,
No.
Ms. Glotno,
No.
Mr. Ammons,
No.
Your motion's been denied 4-1. Okay. Next case on the agenda is 278-2025 Jody Vinzash at 6288 Hastings Drive. Are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Could you come to the podium and state your name and address?
Sure. My name is Jody Vansack. Last name is Vansach. My address is 6288 Hastings Drive. And we received.
Oh,
Go ahead.
and you sir as well?
Go ahead.
You as well.
Husband David Vansack, 6288 Hastings.
Okay, could you raise your right hand, both of you? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Director Upton, can we have a building department report?
Yes, thank you. This is an appeal of a decision of the building commissioner. So not a area variance, not a use variance, but a rather this body reviews an appeal, and so the property owner does not believe that the sidewalk on quote Hastings Curve, as identified in the violation letters, is their responsibility to appeal. This is under the exterior property maintenance code, and this is under our sidewalk inspection program that's administered by the engineering department. Section 1363.302.8, concrete drive and walk. All sidewalks, parking areas, walkways, driveways, and other areas shall be kept in a proper state of repair and maintained free from hazards or defective conditions such as, but not limited to, cracks or horizontal gaps exceeding 1 inch, settling, buckling, heaving, or other defects causing vertical displacement exceeding 1 inch, instability, structural damage, disintegration, shattering, or pitting, scaling, spalling, or deterioration of the paved surface causing potential hazard to pedestrians.
Thank you, Mr. Upton. You may present your case.
Yes, I've had a survey completed in April, and I also do have the diagram from the county website showing my property boundaries. The area in question is nowhere near my property line. It's 46 feet away from my driveway, 41 feet away from our property line. And I don't believe that that should be our responsibility to take care of the community sidewalk that's not in front of our home. I do know our neighbor had contacted the city in the past requesting to move his driveway, entrance and exit off of Stearns onto Hastings in that same spot, and was told he could not because that was city property.
Director Upton, do you have any comments?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, give the staff report. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Included in your packet is how the city engineer determines responsibility for the sidewalk. So you take the property lines on either side of the property and you run them all the way until they hit the public right of way. And so anything between those two lines is the responsibility of the homeowner. It's typically referred to as the public right of way, right? So you could think of water, sewer, other utilities that kind of occupy that space between the sidewalk and the street front. Just like it's the public right of way, but just like they have to mow the grass, they have to maintain it. That's still part of upkeep of your home. Further, section.
Sorry, this city has been cutting
ma'am,
grass.
Ma'am, I'm in the middle of my report.
You'll have the chance to speak again. Let Ms. Upton.
Section 72901 of the Ohio Revised Code, and I will refer to section 72701 of the Ohio Revised Code as well. I'll read 72901. In addition to the power conferred upon municipal corporations under section 72701 of the Revised Code to construct sidewalks, curbs, or gutters and levy an assessment therefore, the legislative authority of the municipal corporation may require the construction or repair of sidewalks, curbs, or gutters within the municipal corporation by owners of lots or lands abutting thereon. And upon the failure of such owners to construct or repair such sidewalks, curbs, or gutters within the time prescribed in the resolution adopted under the Ohio Revised Code, they may cause such sidewalks, curbs, or gutters to be constructed or repaired and assess the total cost thereof against the lands and lots abutting thereon. And so that is where the Ohio Revised Code falls with respect to the sidewalks. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Should I go right to Mr. Garreau for comments?
Please, thank you. So this is, as Director Upton pointed out to you, is an appeal from an order issued under 1363 Exterior Maintenance Code, as it regards the sidewalk. So first of all, I concur with Mr. Upton's position with respect to the responsibility for maintenance on it under the revised code. But here, the standard of review is this. There's no basis in fact for the building commissioner's notice or the decision is arbitrary or capricious. One guideline for determining whether something is arbitrary or capricious is whether the act being appealed was undertaken without reasonable grounds or adequate consideration of the circumstances. So that's your standard. It's not Duncan Middlefield. It's not the typical area variance that you would run into. It's the question of whether there's no basis in fact for the building commissioner's notice or that the decision is arbitrary and capricious. Did the engine, if I may, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of Director Upton?
Of course.
Did the engineer, you said he had reviewed it and made that determination, which is the substance, which forms the substance of the
Correct.
aerial view?
Correct.
Okay. And was it not? And it was his opinion then, what as to responsibility?
It was the engineer's opinion that the responsibility was the homeowners to either undertake the repairs or the city would do it.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you. That concludes my report.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, I'm curious if that is the guideline, so that then suggests that I'm responsible for the 52 feet from that piece of sidewalk to Stearns Road. Am I understanding that correctly?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know. Is this is the footage you're talking about right now a part of this order that you're appealing, or is it
Well,
something different?
The area of sidewalk in question is 41 feet off of our property line, 46 feet away from our driveway. From that spot to Stearns Road is an additional 52 feet. I'm asking, would we then be considered responsible for that additional 52 feet on top of the 41?
If you were to take, as the engineer has designated, if you were to take the side yard markers for your if you were to get it if you were to come out and have somebody come out and do a survey and you were to run the sidelines out to the right of way, you'd be responsible for that portion of the sidewalk. I don't know if you're talking about some other area on the other side, but if you take your lot lines on the side and run them straight out to the street, it's that portion of the sidewalk that would fall between those two, your left and right side yard. I mean, that's what the engineer had determined, right?
Yeah, no one had communicated anything to us regarding sidelines of property. I just know, like I said, we had a survey done in April. The area of sidewalk in question is nowhere near our property line nor our driveway. It's not in front of our home.
It's closer to Stearns Road than
Well,
Hastings.
it's closer to our neighbors than our property line. And we do not mow the grass and maintain that yard. The city comes out and cuts the grass, I guess, because we don't cut it.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman, at this time.
Okay. Do you have any other comments?
No.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions?
Yes, when legal counsel, Mr. Garreau, was discussing the sidelines of your property,
Uh-huh.
okay, and he said if regardless of what a survey says or what anybody else from the city has said, those side yard lines, the ownership that you have, when those are projected straight forward out to the street, is the area in question where the sidewalk is buckled, is that within your sidelines there?
Yes.
Okay. So then that is the question, and you've agreed to that. So that's all the questions I have.
So does that mean we can build something on that property, part of the property, if we're responsible for it?
Mr. Chairman, if it's a very hypothetical question, of course, but the use of the property is regulated by the zoning code. For the other folks that are up here, most of them are dealing with zoning code issues tonight.
Sure.
And whether you could construct something in the front yard setback or too close to the side yard setback would determine whether you could do that. It just depends on what you were trying to propose. Typically, as you might have heard a minute ago, accessory structures are not permitted in the front yard, would probably prohibit you from building anything like that. Additionally, you wouldn't, fencing and stuff like that, there's just different regulations when you're in the front yard of the property, front yard setback from the right of way back to your front of your home.
Board members, any other questions?
I have a couple questions. So how much sidewalk are we talking about, or was the violation for? I saw the pictures, but was it several sections of sidewalk?
Basically, if I may, it looks like at one point there was a tree in that area and someone took the tree down. And then the root raised where the two sidewalk pieces meet up. So we're talking about
I think we measured it was 12
12 inches across with the depth of a sidewalk, which is, I don't know.
5 feet or so, 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah,
whatever
so
the sidewalk
12
is.
inches across.
And like 3 inches, 4 inches raised.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Director Upton, question for you. So what we had noted there was something from the city engineer. Was that this one that says sidewalk repair
Correct.
responsibility?
Correct.
So did the city engineer take a look at this one, this
Oh,
case
yeah.
in particular?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The engineer reviews. So the sidewalk program, our city engineer inspector goes out and walks every inch of the sidewalk in each ward once every 4 years. All of the violations are then photographed, measured, quality checked by the city engineer to verify that violation exists, and then they're all sent notices at one time.
Okay. Just because this one where the right of way is and where relative to the sidewalk, usually it's right up behind the sidewalk, so the projection would be.
And there's
a little
this
different.
one's a bit unique in the way that the sidewalk bends, but there are a lot of sidewalks throughout the city. If you just went on the county's website and just looked at the bird's eye view, that are quite some distance from the actual property line.
And just the configurations of the lots, normally you think it'd be radial, but in this case.
And there's some times where we own some small strips of land that abut streets where we thought a street might zig and it zagged instead, and so that ends up with an extraordinarily large piece of right of way. Sometimes how the parcels get drawn.
And relative to the applicant's comments about the city maintaining the grass in that area?
That's a question for Director Carney. I don't have the foggiest idea.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. Have a motion and a second.
I'll move that we,
Grant the appeal.
I move that we grant the appeal as written.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato.
I think when I first looked at this, I did not question the citation whatsoever. As I read more deeply into it, I wondered, given the curvature of the roadway and everything else considered, if there was possibly a responsibility that rested elsewhere other than with the homeowner. However, it's quite clear, at least from the way the state Ohio Revised Code has provided for the maintenance of this part of the property, because it's adjacent to or abutting, specifically stated in the state law. So I believe that the appeal from this order has to be denied.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. When I looked at it, it's unfortunate when you're on a curve. You sometimes have a lot of frontage that you're responsible for, and this is one of those cases where normally you would see radial or pie-shaped lots where everybody shares the curve evenly, but in this case, this lot unfortunately has the lion's share of the curve.
Right.
So just to make it clear on my part, Mr. Mackey, a denial of the appeal would make this homeowner responsible for the repair. Correct. That's how I read it.
Anybody else?
Which would be a no vote.
If you were to vote either yes to grant the appeal or no to deny it, correct?
Okay, so that's what's my confusion. Yeah.
Any other comments? Ms. Wilson, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
No.
Mr. Papato,
No.
Mr. Ammons,
No.
Mrs. Galatno,
No.
Mr. Kovac.
No. Motion has been denied 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next case on the agenda is 281-2025 Rodney Collins at 4107 Walter Road. Are there any others who wish to speak on the case? Could you state your name and address?
Rodney Collins, 4107 Walter Road.
Okay, and raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Director Eppin, can we have a building department report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is a variance for a parking pad in the front yard. Code allows parking pads in the side or rear yard of a residential lot unless the lot has access to an arterial street. Applicant shows a parking pad in the front yard, section 113502B3, lowercase a. Second variance, a 2-foot variance for size of parking pad. Code allows 18 by 20. Applicant shows 20 by 20 feet. Section 113502B3, lowercase b.
Okay, you may present your case.
Well, I need to turn around for a couple of reasons. I have a son that's a double amputee, he's in a wheelchair and uses a motorized scooter. My wife has mobility issues, uses a walker and a scooter. And trying to turn around in the street and back into my driveway where it's located on Walter Road, you can't, it's hard to do. Traffic there is a pain. You got a curve coming up just before you hit Lorraine. People going south. Half the time you're gonna see it as you try to pull over to back in. Next thing you know, I get traffic, in your butt. And even the traffic going north, you swing out the back end, they pull right on your bumper. So you sort of get stuck there, and so currently right now I turn around on my front grass because it's easier for my wife to come out the front door and get in the passenger side of the car instead of walking around the car if I pull in. And same with my son. He comes out the back door with his scooter up the side of the driveway to get in on the passenger side. And I have a carrier on the back of my car for both the scooters, and I have to load that somewhere in the yard. And right now, if I pull in the driveway, I got to pull in the grass. Bring their scooters on the lift. And with winter coming up, it's going to be a pain in the butt. I mean, it's more of a convenience thing for me right now, just be able to pull in and then back into my driveway. I guess this size, I can see I can go at 18 by 20. When the guy was there laying it out, we just went 20 by 20 with number. So I mean, the size-wise isn't that big of a deal, but it would make life a whole lot easier for me and my wife and son.
Okay, Director Eppin, do you have any comments?
Thank you. So this particular case references the first variance in arterial street. And the arterial streets, I don't have them memorized and I didn't dog ear the page, but just suffice it to say Walter Road's not an arterial street. We get that information from NOACA. This is the regional organization that plans out transportation for the region. And the last published functional classification, which is, what type of local collector arterial major arterial, those sorts of things. That was in 2016. This particular resident is, was it 4 houses down from the cemetery on Walter Road, where we're consolidating 5 elementary schools into 1. And so that traffic impact is going to be substantial in a couple of years. And for that, the staff is in support of variance request number 1. Number 2, ADA stalls are typically 16 feet, right? Mr. Papato, I think it's 8 feet for the car and then 8 feet for the hatched loading, unloading area, so 16 feet. And so we are not in support of a 20 by 20 foot pad. We believe that a 20 by 18 more than accommodates an ADA accessible parking stall, which is exactly what the resident is asking for. And for that reason, we would not be in favor of granting the second variance. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
I have one question though.
Oh,
18
just a minute. Director, do you have any comments?
I know where he's going. 18
okay.
foot is
Okay.
the wide, right? Because
All right.
you have 8 feet wide for your car.
It's 18 foot wide by 20 foot deep off the driveway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Director, do you have any comments?
This Director
I'm
Guerrero-
sorry. Director Guerrero, long weekend.
He's, no, sir, not at this time. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add to your case?
No, not really. I pretty much stated all the, and it's true, when the school starts coming in, I can just imagine what the traffic's gonna look like. With Clegg Road being shut down northbound, Walter Road's a busy street this time of year right now.
Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant or city staff?
I have one question. The issue of the width of the parking pad, turnaround pad, if you will. Director Upton has stated that the city is in favor of a limit of 16 feet. 8 feet for your vehicle, and then another additional 8 feet for loading, unloading passengers or anything else, okay? Is that sufficient for you, sir?
It would be, but he did say 18 by 20 was acceptable.
Mr. Mackey, I did say that we're not in favor of the granting the variance, and that the 18 by 20 is more than enough for what the resident is trying to accomplish.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm just trying to sort out that there's a point of confusion. The city is in favor or would support 18 feet?
Which would not need a variance.
Which is
Okay,
code.
and that goes to the question I had. We could dismiss variance number 2.
Mr.
with
Chairman,
a
I would
no.
recommend that there be 2 separate motions on this
Yes.
particular question. The first, whether you're going to even allow it,
Yes.
and the second is whether you're going to allow an 18 by 20. And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like even the applicant says he can handle it. Not a 20 by 20, he can handle an 18 by 20, which is code. So,
Okay, that clarifies the issue, I think, for the applicant and for board members and the city's position.
Okay, anybody else?
Have you considered putting the pad behind your house instead of in front of it?
No, because I got a double wide driveway back there now, and it's a pain to turn around back there. I tried it. I'd have to go. And then during the winter, I still got to get to the front to get my wife out, and we basically use the back part of the driveway in front of my garage as our patio, especially this time of year, like a lot of people do. My house does not have a basement, so my garage is my basement. We don't even use the garage as parking.
Anybody else? Okay, so we'll have 2 separate variances. A motion for the first variance for the parking pad in the front yard. Kind of a motion and a second.
I'll move that we approve variance number 1 in this case.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato.
Okay, and again, I will
Mr. Chairman?
move that,
I would take a discussion and vote on the first one, and then
Right.
Mr. Mackey can go with the second one.
All right, so we'll, discussion on the first motion.
And that, Mr. Chairman, is to allow the presence in the front yard.
Okay. So
I think that the applicant has demonstrated a hardship. Two family members need assistance in being able to get into a vehicle. He has space limited in the front yard and especially in the backyard to be able to safely have passengers loaded under these circumstances and then get out onto a street. The traffic projections are for, vastly increased traffic once the new school site is opened. So I'm in favor of allowing the applicant to put a parking turnaround pad in his front yard.
I agree. There's a obvious hardship here. I'm in favor of variance number 1.
And I have a question about the wording of the of it all. Can we change that to say that we're accepting the variance with the conclusion that the applicant fall within the guidelines of the city?
We'll take a second.
That's for that'll be for the
Can I
second.
also offer another suggestion? Is it possible that the applicant would withdraw his second variance request, verbally withdraw the second one?
The 20 by 20, I'll withdraw that one. If you give me the 18 by 20.
If you want to just withdraw that one, and we'll deal with the presence in the front yard, and then I guess number 1 doesn't pass, number 2 doesn't matter. So if you'll, on the record, if you wish to just verbally withdraw it and follow code, which is 18 by 20,
Okay.
then we don't have to worry about the second motion and how
I'll
it's phrased.
withdraw the second variance.
Okay.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
Okay, and then the applicant has agreed to withdraw variance number 2, so that's not going to be part of any further motion except to accept the withdrawal from the applicant.
Which is no motion required. He's withdrawn.
Right. Anybody else? Any other comments? Okay, Ms. Wilson, can we take a roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes?
Mr. Papato,
Yes.
Mr. Kovach,
Yes.
Mr. Emmons,
Yes.
Ms. Glatno,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next case on the agenda is 282-2025 Nicholas Walters at 5971 Park Ridge Road. Are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Could you state your name and address?
Nicholas Walters, 5971 Park Ridge Drive, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070.
And could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Director Upton, could we have building department report?
This is a 3-foot variance or distance to the side lot line of an accessory structure deck. Code requires 5 feet. Applicant shows 2 feet. Section 113502C5.
Okay, you may present your case.
So I have made a mistake already. I built my patio, not realizing that I needed to go through certain channels, and I'm doing everything I can now to go through them. As soon as Mr. I think Glosser's his name, informed me, I reached out to him, showed him my plans here. I have the drawings. I have all that. I'm just here hoping that you will allow me to keep the deck that I've built. Again, my bad. If I was to look for the hardship of it, is this area of my yard did tend to flood. Now that I've put in drainage and the deck's on top of it, and it's no longer a flooding issue. But that's not real hardship. That's just fixing my yard. So I'm just hoping I can, if I have to cut 3 feet off, I mean, I will, and I can fix it and get it up to code that way. But I'm just here hoping that we can keep the whole deck.
Okay. Director Ivan, you have any comments?
No, this was using the area variance. The one question I would have for the applicant, or I may have, is, if your footers or if your beams were going out, if they were like 18 on center or 16 on center, so if you had to cut 3 feet off, is it easy as cutting down to 18 on
No,
center?
it'll be really hard, but I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm not here to cause.
No. I was that was like the only curiosity thing,
Yeah,
but
no.
otherwise, this is an honest mistake in my view, and leave it to the board to decide. These have been looked on favorably from time to time, and that concludes my report.
Director Guerrero, do you have any comments?
Thank you. How high off the ground? I haven't seen the site. I didn't visit it.
It's like a half step, barely. Yeah.
So it's fairly low to the ground.
Yeah, it's not even a full 2x4.
There's your neighbor next door. There's a fence that runs along there.
There's a fence that runs along there.
6-foot fence.
Yes. No, the chain link is only.
Oh, it's chain link. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I saw somewhere in here.
Yeah,
Shadow
that
box
was
or something, but
when they built the other portions of the fence. I think it's 6 feet.
so it's just a chain link fence next door.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a letter from those neighbors
Yeah, I see.
in my thing, and they're awesome. I love them.
All right. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add at this point?
Please.
We'll take it under advisement.
Thank you.
That's pretty good.
Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant or for city staff?
So this is only less than a foot off the ground?
Yeah, it's like a step down about.
Is there a railing around it?
No railing. It doesn't need one. It's so low.
So and there's 2 feet between that and the fence that's there now?
So between the fence and where my actual deck ends, it's like a 1.5 feet, I think, exactly. The plan was to build, I was going to put raised flower beds around the corner of it, and plant like basil and what have you. But I put that on hold as soon as Mr. Glosser reached out to me.
And this was built when?
This couple months ago.
A couple months ago. So this has been going on for a little bit. And is it difficult if someone needed to walk around this to get in between the fence and the deck? If someone who whatever had a handicap or whatever couldn't get up on the deck, can they walk around
There's
the deck?
2 fences there. I don't know why someone would want to walk over there, but if it would be, it'd be tough. If someone had like a wheelchair, they wouldn't be able to at all. I can jump down there now, but again, the plan originally was to put the raised flower beds, so they would almost be touching the fence, or the flower beds would be touching the fence.
So you okay?
Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion and a second?
I'll move that we approve the variance as written.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato. Board discussion? I'll start off. It's a small request, and I'm in favor of it.
I agree.
Anybody else?
No, if the neighbor next door is in support, then yeah, I would support.
Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Wilson, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Papato,
Yes.
Mr. Ammons,
Yes.
Ms. Galatno,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacs.
Yes. Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next case on the agenda is 283-2025 Carolyn Hare and James Bailey at 24195 Gessner Road. Are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Okay. And if you could, each of you state your name and address.
Carolyn Hare, 24195 Gessner Road, North Olmsted, Ohio.
James Bailey, 24195 Gessner Road, North Olmsted.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Director Upton, can we have a building department report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a 4-foot variance for a width of a driveway serving a detached garage. Code allows 12 feet wide in the front yard. Applicant shows 16 feet wide in the front yard. Section 113502B2, lowercase c. The current driveway is 8 feet wide. The proposed driveway extension is 8 feet wide.
Okay, you may present your case.
We bought the house in 2002. Our garage is used for storage. We've had this side drive for 23 years. It's gravelled and everything else. They told us we had to replace it with either asphalt, concrete, or back to grass. We live on Gessner Road, which is another cut-through street, very busy. Shuffling cars back and forth on an 8-foot driveway is just, it's impossible. So we aesthetically decided to go, okay, we'll go with concrete, which is more expensive than the other two options. And because we need that parking there, it's impossible to jiggle cars getting in and out of the driveway. We can't have any company. And traffic is just ridiculous on Gessner Road, especially with Clegg being down and the new school built. And we've never used the garage. This has been there since day one. And the city's never complained. My neighbor has no complaints. I'm just doing what you actually told me to do.
Director Upton, do you have any comments?
Just to echo the applicant's sentiments, it's an existing gravel driveway. It's being replaced and upgraded. There's actually a hedgerow in front of the house, so you don't even see the parking pad. We're in full support of this.
Okay. Director Guerrero, do you have any comments?
So I'm trying to put my arms around this is construed as a driveway. Does this actually go back to the garage?
No.
It's really like a parking pad.
I call it an apron. I don't know. I'm from
It's
Chicago.
really more like, it sounds like it's more like a parking pad because it looks like the gravel portion, stone portion goes off the driveway and then stops.
Right.
Right. Which is more like a parking pad. Right. However, even if it was a parking pad, it'd be too big, as you just heard a few moments ago, right? Because you're allowed the 18 by 20, and the size of this particular proposal is 8 by 30. I mean, square footage wise, it's 240. I've long since forgotten geometry. Area of a triangle. Anybody want to go with that?
Nope. I have a liberal arts degree.
No math. I don't want to do an area of a triangle. Going once. I don't know. I just thought I'd point that out to you. It's kind of a interesting. It's marked as a driveway, but it's really feels more like a parking pad. Not that it necessarily the variance is what it is, but
okay.
You'd be able to do one that was smaller in that location because it's in the side yard versus the front yard. It would be smaller. So I don't know, just an observation, nothing further.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to your case?
Pardon me?
Do you have anything else to add to your case? Any other?
No, I mean, pretty please. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. We'd have to tear.
Plus, we don't.
Where you can't park across the street, they're all drainage.
They're drainage ditches, so people park in front of our house when they have parties and stuff, or in their front yards. And we don't have the drainage ditch. And the traffic is unbelievable, pulling in and out, shifting cars to get out of the driveway. It's on a curve. It's not even going to be that wide all the way because it comes. I have a picture that I submitted. It's like curved. When you first pull in the driveway, you got the bush, and you pull in and then park the car.
All right.
So we can actually put 2 cars there and one in the regular driveway.
Okay.
And then we still can have company. There's nowhere to park.
You don't need friends.
So
Okay, I think understood. Okay, board members, do you have any questions for the applicant or for city staff? So has the construction already started on this?
they dug up the gravel. That's it.
Okay. And at some point you were stopped by the city to
Yes.
commence, okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, can I have a motion and a second, please?
I move that we approve the variance as written.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato. Board discussion. I'll start off. It's a small request. I don't have a problem with it. I'm in favor of it.
Oh, I agree. I viewed the property and have seen similar situations in previous appeals. There's just not a lot of room to park on Gessner anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, homeowners are doing, I think, the best that they can with this situation.
Anybody else? Ms. Wilson, could you take the roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes?
Mr. Papato,
Yes.
Ms. Galatno,
Yes.
Mr. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Ammons.
Yes.
Okay, your motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next case on the agenda is 285-2025 Michael and Samantha Canestro at 4344 Martin Drive. Are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Can each of you state your name and address?
Samantha Canistraro, 4344 Martin Drive.
And I'm Michael Canistraro, 4344 Martin Drive as well.
Could you both of you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Director Upton, can we have a building department report?
Yes, there are 3 separate variances included in this request. A 956 square foot variance for the area of a private garage. Code permits 750 square feet. Applicant shows 1,706 square feet. Section 113502B1 lowercase a. Variance number 2, a 4.5 inch variance for the height of a garage. Code permits 15 feet. Applicant shows 15 feet 4.5 inches. Code section 113502B1 lowercase b. And third variance, 2-foot variance for distance of a garage shows side lot line. Code permits 5 feet. Applicant shows 3 feet. Section 113502B1C. Of note, there is an existing attached garage that measures 506 square feet. Combined with the proposed garage at 24 by 50 feet brings you to the total of 1,706 square feet of storage. And that's the case.
Okay, you can present your case.
Yes. So we are back. After 3 years, we stood here to the board and had a very similar request. And at the time, it was approved. And we struggled for 3 years now to have a contractor build our garage as we kind of discussed and had approved. So really, nothing has changed in terms of square footage. The height is slightly different, but within 4.5 inches of what the city allows. And even the location did not change, but our interpretation, I guess, was not correct in the first variance application, thinking that the building wall could be 5 feet from the property line, not the overhang. So technically we didn't like shift location. We're just showing that overhang now, which is closer to the property line than what is allowed. So we're hoping we finally have a contractor that we can move forward with, and we have drawings that have more clarity and detail, and I think everything is finally vetted at this point versus the first time was kind of a quick drawing that we put together that wasn't 100% accurate. So definitely some lessons learned on our part, but we're hoping for another approval.
Okay. Director Upton, do you have any comments?
Yes. So, again, looking at the area variances, we believe that the property can be have a beneficial use without granting a variance. Yes, the variances are substantial. You're looking at what amounts to 60-foot variance on the setbacks and 127% variance on the size allowed. There's nothing like this in the surrounding neighborhood. So does this fundamentally alter the character of the surrounding neighborhood? Yes. I think, moreover, storage buildings of 200 square feet or more are also subject to drainage requirements of the city engineer. City engineer has not reviewed anything relative to this, and would need further clarification in order to adequately answer question number 4 with respect to adversely affecting water, sewer, and garbage. So, again, number 5, the zoning code did change in 2021. I believe they purchased the building in 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. So conceivably through public hearings and public notices, they were notified of any changes to their zoning code. And can the predicament be solved with something other than a variance? Yes. And so we believe that the difficulties, the practical difficulties, none of which were met in this regard. However, I do think we might want to think about tabling this particular item pending some further review. And I think that, not to put our director on the spot, but if they were previously granted a variance, it remains to be seen whether a new variance is needed. And so I would ask that we table this to next month.
Mr. Chairman, can you give us a little more information? You said you were back up here and the variance was granted. You said it was substantially similar to, I guess, similar to what you're bringing forward today. You were approved for all your variance requests previously. All right, so that stands. That still exists to this very day. You could build that building based upon that variance. It runs with the land. All right, so assuming what you're telling me is accurate, that variance would still be valid. You would not have to come back and reapply for a different variance. Now, if you choose to change your plan and go in a different direction, increasing the size of the footprint or increasing the height, yeah, you're right. You're starting all over again. In theory, the original variance would still stand, I suppose. So I guess knowing that, what are the differences between what was approved and what you have right now?
So we were told that the variance expires after a year or two.
No.
We were told 1 year because we submitted for permit last year with a contractor, and that's when it was flagged by Katie, and we were told that it had a 1 year expiration, and that the height that was submitted with the permit drawings was not consistent with what was submitted for the variance and approved, which that I understand. So from that regard, the height had a slight change based on the roof slope being fully vetted and accurate versus the variance drawing was not fully vetted.
Well, they dug into the truss design. So once
Yeah.
they had the truss design built, it came back a little bit different from the variance.
I mean, it's a little different with development plan approval, where there's a commercial development plan because it's all kind of tied together, and you have a limited period that goes to city council or that goes to administrative review, and then you get formally approved. You've got your variances, and if you don't do anything within a specific period of time, your development plan approval expires, and then you have to start over again. That's really not where you are because it's not a development plan approval; it's a residential proposal. So my position would be that that variance still stands, and it would still be valid, and that you would be permitted to build within the confines of that specific variance that was granted. If it was granted, you could build whatever you asked for there that was approved. If you are changing it, like I said, then that's different. But as of right now, it's substantially similar with a very slight difference. You could choose to stand on what was previously granted.
Could we stand on the first one, the square footage?
Well, that's why. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chairman. I believe that Miss Seeley was ill today, so I dug into this about 3:00 this afternoon to prepare to fill in for her. But upon hearing the applicant state that a variance was already granted, both Director Gurrow and I looked at each other, and I believe I would ask that this motion, we have a motion to table it so we can get a concrete answer back to the applicant.
Table to next month.
If with the consent of the applicant, if that's all right.
We have a contractor and he's got a time window, and this would delay it. He wouldn't be able to get to us this year. He's trying to get us in front of a big job. So
Yeah.
August.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, why don't we? I mean, there's, you certainly can present your case today, and if the board should grant it or not, it's up to you if you want to proceed. I mean, it sounds like you want to proceed, so all this talk about the previous variances, I guess, doesn't matter. So.
Well, it would be probably more or less asking for the variance for lines 2 and 3. If one isn't changing, and from what we learned, then really we just need 2 and 3 to get our drawings.
My only challenge to that is as we sit here, we don't know enough about the variance that was previously granted because there's nothing in this packet that says otherwise.
So we have the drawings and the hardship letter in there.
I have my old packet that I could pass around.
Were they not
But
provided?
perhaps we think about tabling this until.
May we pass papers out
This
then?
is what was distributed. This was the new variance. I have.
What are you referring to? You're referring to.
Well, then let's just walk through this then, right?
But then we have to get approval.
Unless it's official correspondence.
The hardship letter I'm looking at is from 2 weeks ago.
Yes. So we provide.
But I don't know about that one.
So what Katie had emailed me.
But I guess if it's in the plans.
When we submitted for permit last June was that the variance expires 1 year from approval. So we either could resubmit because our height changed, or the second option would be to alter the design so it fit within the height that was approved. I believe off the top of my head was 20 feet to the peak, and now we're at 21'3" based on an actual truss dimension.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I believe your clerk has pulled up the approval and the minutes from the meeting in 2022.
I do. So, and then I can also try and pull up the file that showed the actual dimensions. So the first was a 1,556 square foot variance for area of private garage. Code permits 750 square feet. Applicant shows 2,306 square feet. And section 113502B1A. And then the another request of 956 square foot variance for area of private garage. Code. Oh, because that one was amended. So that was the new request For the 956 square foot for area of private garage, code permit 750, applicant shows 1706. So they had the original one and then they amended it.
To 956
Yeah.
square foot variance.
So if I could,
So it would seem to me that variance number 1 had already been granted, so this board is only contemplating the 4.5-inch variance, number 2, and the 2-foot variance with respect to the side lot line.
Was there any side lot line variance?
No, that
discussed?
was the only,
That's because. Did you move? I guess because it's.
So we didn't move it. It was a misunderstanding. We didn't know, because when we measured and laying it out, it was to the wall. We didn't know the soffit was factored in, and we went with a larger soffit, a 24-inch soffit that might not be as typical because we wanted maximum rain protection overhang, and we do have a tree on the other side, and the further over it goes, the more of a jog behind the house it's going to be, and where it is a much nicer gradual transition to the backyard and between our garage and our neighbor's adjacent garage. It's a good manageable area for even a riding mower.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir. Working off what Director Upton has advised, I would advise you that the first variance is not required. It was already been granted, and that the board can give consideration to number 2 and 3.
Should we give separate motions?
Yeah, I mean, if you sure, you could do 2 separate motions. They're not, neither of them are particularly large variance requests.
Or we just combine it into one motion?
Yeah, well, no, you could do 2.
Okay.
Let's keep it clean.
Okay.
Maybe you change approve the height and not the side yard variance. I don't know. You can,
Okay.
You don't have to combine them. You can keep separate.
You could ask them to withdraw.
Now, where were we? I forget.
You
That
spoke.
was my report, and then I
Now,
was, and that would go back to
applicants,
that.
do you have anything else to add to your case?
It depends if you want me to go through all the hardship and all the equipment and then the kids' toys and a split level not having storage.
I think most of that, Mr. Chairman, would go to the issue of the square foot of the structure, which has already been approved. And this board typically doesn't get too excited about too much stuff, so it's probably better that you don't. But that variance has been granted. So the question now is the side yard and the height. So
Number 2 and number 3.
comment on that? I was just gonna say for the height specifically, we have a project car, and I know this was asked the first time of us, whether if we want to put in a car lift, if that would be personal or business use. We're stating that's personal use. We don't have time for any kind of business on the side, but the height specifically was designed around a specific lift needing a certain clearance, and then having a truss design that mimics our existing home peak. So we're kind of trying to like keep a consistent design, and that's where that height difference kind of came into play from variance number 1 to now. And then for the side variance, I think our building, if you've seen the site, is very comparable to what the neighbors have. We measured like where their overhang would be from the property line, and it's comparable to what we're requesting, so it doesn't feel extreme, but obviously that's for you to say.
Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant or for city staff?
I have a question. Are you willing to withdraw your request for variance number 1 since you already have a previous
need to do
variance?
yeah, Mr. Mackey, I would counsel the board that they don't have to withdraw it. I would
Okay.
just tell you that it's been granted already, and it's frankly it's moot because it's already been handled. So, you could just proceed on 2 and 3. 1's already been granted.
Okay, I just.
Yep, I understand, just for clarity. Yep.
Yeah, I asked that question because of the fact that it's entered into the record here.
Yeah, and it'll show in the order that you guys reach if you do grant 2 and 3 or 2 or 3. that the minutes would reflect that there's a tie back to a previous ruling, previous determination. So it'll be clear.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody else with questions? Okay, can I have a motion and a second for variance number 2, the 4'5" variance height for the garage?
I'll move that we approve variance number 2 in this case.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato. Board discussion.
I think the variance request is fairly small, and cited that they want to keep the appearance of the building consistent with the primary home.
I concur. It's a small request. I don't have. I'm in favor of it. Okay, Ms. Wilson, can we take a roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Papato,
Yes.
Ms. Glotno,
Yes.
Mr. Ammons,
Yes.
Mr. Kovac.
Yes. Okay, variance number 2 has passed 5-0. Can I have a motion and a second for variance number 3, the 2-foot variance for the distance of the garage to sided lot line?
I'll move that we approve variance number 3 in this case.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mr. Papato. Board discussion?
I think it's still a reasonable request, and the overall build is going to be a huge improvement to the property. So I would be in favor.
Yeah, we have plenty of room on the side lot because we're going to the wall, and that the overhang is really what's causing the issue here, and that is not going to be in anybody's way to access the area. So I would be in favor of this one as well.
I concur. I'm in favor of it. Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Wilson, could you take a roll, please?
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Papato,
Yes.
Mr. Kovac,
Yes.
Ms. Glotno,
Yes.
Mr. Ammons.
Yes.
Okay, your motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to commercial appeals. Next case is 287-2025 Chase Bank at 4824 Great Northern Boulevard. Are there any others who wish to speak on this case? Could you state your name and address, please?
Robert Dennis, Dennis, address 2600 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 500, Shaker Heights, Ohio. I'm the civil engineer from Manick and Smith for the project.
Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Director Upton, can we have a building department report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 3 variants being requested. A 10-foot variance for the street lawn depth. Code allows 20 feet. Applicant shows 10. A 51.51-foot variance for primary frontage setback. Code allows 75 feet. Applicant shows 24. And a 15.68-foot variance for a secondary frontage setback. Code allows 35 feet. Applicant shows 19 feet. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, I know request to take things a little out of order, maybe to steal the applicant's thunder. We are here because the city requested them that they put the building where they're putting the building. We have a new zoning code that was being contemplated by city council, and we implored Chase to abide by the spirit of the new code, even though they're not required to abide by any of it. And this building design is their attempt to do what the city asked them to do. And so we strongly support this variance request, all 3 of them. So hate to steal the applicant's thunder, but they're here because we asked them to be here.
Understood. At this point, would you like to present your case?
You can probably tell by my attire, I was tasked with attending this meeting this morning. It's designed by our Columbus office, and the applicant is actually the architect also with the Columbus office. So I tried to read up on it as best I could to get prepared. I was told that Max knew more about the project than anyone else. So I was actually sitting there studying the 7 conditions, so I'm glad he stated what he just did. lost my train of thought. But no, I did research today looking for our justifications. Normally, when you make a zoning or application, you have your justifications sorted. And then I just learned just before I left, I printed out the second thing I found on your website, and I noticed that the applicant was FMS, the architect. That's why I couldn't find our written justifications for the their variance request. So I'll let it stand on what Max just stated.
Please.
I was prepared to do my best with the 7 conditions if I had to, but they're pretty tough given the conditions.
Director Arpin, do you have any further comments?
Not that I otherwise
Okay.
already stated, Mr. Chair.
Director Guru.
I do. I don't normally get into the merits of a particular case, but this is the Harry Buffalo corner, right? So if you this is where they are, they will no longer be here. And I think that the concept that the city's been leaning toward is the notion of trying to have a more green front yard area versus a sea of parking and then a building that sits way back on the lot. And it's a highly visible corner. I mean, the traffic that goes through there is incredible. And instead of having the bank building sitting back, 150 feet with the parking lots, it really kind of showcases itself into the corner, into that very corner of that intersection. And I think, although you don't have any elevations, architecturally, it will match what we're trying to do. You're not going to. I think we fumbled years ago by trying to do something creative when we put the building into the intersection, into the corner of the intersection, and what we got was the back end of the gas station across the street, which looks like the back end of a gas station. We had another occasion when we did something like that where I was a young council person and kind of led the charge on the CVS at the corner of Porter and Lorraine, how it kind of goes into the corner, and architecturally it kind of makes a bit of a statement.
The one that's out of business?
What's that?
The one that's out of business?
No, the CVS that's in business at Porter and Lorraine. It's the one right in the corner.
Oh.
Yeah, the way it kind of, the footprint kind of follows the building.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
But this is different. I mean, we've kind of dabbled in the past, and this is kind of like, I think, the first statement of a future that's going to be hopefully different in terms of design. Oh, I don't think you had Ohio Junk Force. I don't think that came here. It did come here for variances. That was one not long ago where it was pushed up toward Lorraine.
Right.
Parking was in the back. Remember that one?
Yes.
Same concept. Different application, location, same concept. And I think we'll probably see more of that until the code is changed to afford a more streamlined process. So, for my 2 cents.
Understood.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add?
I was going to say, I already mentioned the elevations. I do have the architectural elevations if anyone wants to look at them. This is our 78th Chase Bank we've designed. They're just very attractive buildings. They keep evolving and getting better every one we do. So really nice. It's definitely a very attractive building. I don't think these elevations really do it justice, but
that also was a request that we had where the design inspiration is the Bank of America and or the Erie Bank over in Crocker Park with a faux second story, taller building heights. So it's not necessarily utilizing a full second story, but it looks like a 2-story building. The ATM, the original design was the ATM was going to be, the drive-through was going to be kind of the island around the corner of Great Northern and Brook Park there. And so they've reconfigured the drive-through, and it's just a really, really nice, really unique design.
And landscape well.
Yes.
You can see
I've got the landscape plan as well if you need it.
You don't have to pull that out. It's okay. But hopefully to become a key point in the city. When you drive by, it has the character that corner wants.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant or for city staff?
No questions.
I have no questions. Director Guerrero, should we have just one variance to cover all 3 since this is the...
It sounds like you could use one
Yeah.
motion to cover all 3.
Okay. Okay.
If one member wishes to divide that question, you can so request. But
I'm okay with
motion,
yeah.
If anybody has a particular concern where they want to vote yes on one and no on another, let them speak. But otherwise, you can do all with one motion and include all three.
Okay. So along those lines, can I have a motion and a second that include all three variances?
I move that we approve the three variances as stated in this case.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Mackey and second by Ms. Galatno. Board discussion?
When it was mentioned that Chase has done a lot to improve the appearance and the structure of their buildings in recent projects, I immediately recalled when the Rustic Restaurant in Fairview Park, Rocky River, by Westgate, when they closed and Chase announced they're moving into that location. And I just happened to drive by it the other day, and the building is fantastic. It's modern. It anchors the corner nicely on the old Rustic Restaurant site. So it's a great addition to the commercial district there.
FMS architects are very good. They don't just put the same building on each side. Every building fits the site. They work really hard.
Anybody else? Ms. Wilson, could you take the roll, please?
Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
Ms. Glatno?
Yes.
Mr. Papato?
Yes.
Mr. Kovac?
Yes.
Mr. Ammons?
Yes.
Your motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Are there any staff announcements?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, with no further business before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 8:36.